Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche. And this week, in honor of Thanksgiving, I thought I would talk to you about our native wild turkey. It's a Thanksgiving tradition, and these big game birds stride around the woods in flocks looking like mini dinosaurs. They are one of only two domesticated bird species that are native to the Americas. And they were domesticated in Mexico for centuries before European explorers brought them back home in the early 1500s. And the English colonists brought them with them when they settled along the Atlantic coast. Because of their large size, their compact bones, and the fact that humans like to eat them, they have a really well documented fossil record. They've been found in the southern United States and in Mexico, dating back over 5 million years. They are year-round residents in 49 states. The exception is that they are not in Alaska. And they occur in open forests with intermittent clearings or openings, and also in parts of Mexico and southern Canada, where they like pinyon juniper and ponderosa pine forests. So their preferred habitats here in Michigan and in the Midwest include mature oak hickory forests, mesic forests with red oak, American beech, cherries, and white ash. In the southeastern United States, forested areas with pine and magnolia, beech, live oak, pecan, American elm, cottonwood, hickories, bald cypress, tupelo, sweet gum, those sorts of species with understories of huckleberry, blueberry, mountain laurel, greenbrier, wisteria, buttonbush, and willows. And in the southwestern United States, you find them more often in open grassy savannas with smaller oak species. So they like those nut and berry producing trees and shrubs with the interspersed open plant communities. As far as identification goes, they are a large, plump game bird with long legs. They have wide, rounded tails and small heads on long, skinny necks. They are one of the largest and heaviest birds. They're smaller than our state-threatened trumpeter swan, but they are 2 times the size and 4 times the weight of the non-native ring-necked pheasant, another game bird. They can be approximately 45 inches long, weigh anywhere between 5 and 20 pounds, and they have a wingspan over 4 feet wide. As far as coloring goes, they're dark overall with a really pretty bronze green iridescence across most of their plumage. Their wings are generally dark and boldly barred with white. Their rump and tail feathers here in the Midwest and lots of other places are tipped with sort of a rust or chestnut color, or they can be white. This is characteristic of turkeys in the Rocky Mountain region. The bare skin of their heads is red or blue or gray in color. Males have blue skin on their heads with bright red wattles, and they, in early spring, will puff up their feathers, fan their tails out and hold them vertically, lower their wings as part of their courtship display. So you can look for those in clearings and the edges of fields, and they strut about and gobble enthusiastically. And that call has a lot of carrying power, and sounds like this. The males also have the characteristic group of feathers known as a beard. Looks like a little horsetail in the center of their breast. And I think rarely some females may have that feature as well. In general, female turkeys are a dark brown overall with both dark and white barring. And the juveniles have light tan, downy heads, and then multi-tone brown speckled feathering to help camouflage them from predators. As far as behaviors and food preferences go, the female and male turkeys typically form separate flocks, with females in the summer may number around 30 and in the winter can reach numbers of over 200. At night, they roost in flocks in trees, and they can fly short distances with a flurry of loud labor wing beats. So if you've ever flushed a turkey, you've probably your heart probably stopped for a little bit. It is quite surprising, and it's very striking to see such a large bird up in a tree. Not a sight you see every day. They look a little out of place roosting up in those trees. So when threatened, females tend to fly, and the males more often tend to run. They can swim if they have to by tucking in their wings, spreading their tails, and kicking. Each sex has a pecking order within their flocks, and the female flocks tend to have a stable hierarchy, while male flocks, the hierarchy tends to be constantly in flux. The chicks travel in family groups with their mothers. They tend to be combined family groups to form a larger flock of young turkeys attended by 2 or more adult females. They forage in flocks mostly on the ground, but they may also climb into shrubs and low trees to get to fruits and nuts. In the fall, winter, and early spring, they scratch at the leaf litter searching for oak acorns, American beech nuts, pecans, hickory nuts, wild black cherries, white ash seeds, and lots of other native seeds and berries. They will also dig up plant bulbs in the spring if nuts are scarce by then. With the deep snow of winter, they often eat hemlock and other evergreen buds, evergreen ferns if they're available, the spore-covered fruiting frond of sensitive ferns in wetlands, club mosses, as well as burdock, and the seeds of our grasses and sedges. They will also eat salamanders, snails, ground beetles, other insects, and even young snakes. I've heard some herpetologists comment on the impacts of wild turkey on, in particular, some rare snake populations. And they will swallow grit to help digest food like many other bird species. They are an important part of the food web, and they are preyed upon by coyotes, bobcats, raccoons, mountain lions, golden eagles, great horned owls, as well as humans. And their nests are raided by raccoons, opossums, striped skunks, foxes, woodchucks, rat snakes, and bull snakes, as well as other birds and rodents. They nest on the ground in dead leaves at the bases of trees, under brush piles and thick shrubs. I've found a nest on top of a tree stump before. and they occasionally will nest in open hay fields as well. They tend to use only the dead leaves and other plant materials already present at the nest site, with no obvious new materials being brought in to create the shallow depressional nest. Females lay between 4 and 17 eggs and incubate those for 25 to 31 days. The eggs are pale yellow tan and evenly speckled with red, brown, or pinkish spots, and they only have one brood per season. The chicks hatch and are well developed with tawny brown to gray down, and they can leave the nest upon hatching. The females will provide some parental care through that first fall. The chicks will follow the females who feed them for the first few days until they learn to find food on their own. And like I said, they often band together in multifamily flocks with several hens and their broods. As far as conservation goes, wild turkey numbers did decrease through the early 20th century with lots of hunting pressure and habitat loss. But there was a focus on reintroducing this valuable game bird species. Attempts to release farm-raised turkeys were made but failed. So in the 1940s, people began capturing and relocating wild birds, spreading them to all of the lower 48 states and Hawaii. Their populations have increased sharply between 1966 and 2014 per the North American Breeding Survey, and the global estimate of the breeding population is approximately 7.8 million currently. No other game bird has responded quite as well to efforts by game managers, and it is a very popular species among hunters. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service estimates 21% of hunters pursue wild turkey, making it second only to deer as a game animal. And with their expanding populations, there are hunting seasons established in all 49 states. So if you have woods on or near your property, you can certainly use your landscape to help support our wild turkey populations. You can use platform or ground feeders or scatter birdseed or allow that to fall on the ground to help attract them. They certainly like black oil sunflower, sunflower hearts, safflower, corn, millet, oats, and milo. And as always, you can plant great native species to both support wild turkey and many of our other native wildlife species. Nut and fruit-bearing trees and shrubs like oaks, hickories, ashes, American beech, black gum, cherries, some of our native evergreens like hemlock for winter shelter, as well as buds for winter food. Blueberries and huckleberries, all sorts of things can be planted to support the species as well. And you can create and maintain brush piles for cover and large trees for nighttime roosting. So I hope you enjoyed this wild turkey segment. I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving holiday. I'm certainly thankful for the folks who listen to these segments, and I hope you find them helpful. Take care and have a good holiday week.